Alright, let's take a step back and break down what's dominating the headlines and shaping conversations around the world this week. We're seeing a confluence of events that are creating a particularly tense atmosphere. Four major players are in the spotlight, each with their own agenda and impact on the global stage. The United States and Iran, locked in a familiar dance of diplomacy and discord. Then we have China, with its ever-growing influence, and North Korea, a perennial wildcard. The US is making bold moves and asserting its presence on multiple fronts. Iran is pushing back against perceived aggressions, defending its interests with increasing fervor. China is quietly strategizing, carefully calibrating its actions to maximize its long-term gains. And North Korea, as always, is keeping everyone on edge with its unpredictable behavior and provocative statements. This past week, specifically from June 15th to 22nd, 2025 has been particularly full of tense moments, diplomatic maneuvering, and potential flashpoints. The US is making bold moves on the geopolitical chessboard. Iran is responding defiantly, refusing to back down. China is playing the long game, positioning itself for future dominance. And North Korea is unpredictable as ever, a constant source of uncertainty. When these countries clash, even indirectly, the effects ripple worldwide, touching every corner of the globe, impacting trade routes, international travel, and overall global security. That's precisely why you're seeing serious faces on TV screens across the world and hearing constant talk about geopolitical tensions and potential global crises. In simple terms, the world's biggest players aren't exactly getting along, and their disagreements have far-reaching consequences. And everyone's watching closely, wondering what the next move will be. We'll break down exactly what each country did this past week, why it matters on a global scale, and what it could potentially mean for the future of international relations and global stability. No complicated jargon, just the world's most dramatic reality show, explained in plain English. Let's dive right in and make sense of the underlying tensions and competing interests. Here's what you absolutely need to know to stay informed. First up, the United States. Let's dive into the week's developments. This week, the US launched major maritime security operations in the Strait of Hormuz, a move that underscores its commitment to maintaining stability in the region, a vital oil route near Iran. This waterway is crucial for global energy supplies, and any disruption could have significant economic consequences. They sent more warships, signaling a clear message of deterrence and readiness, flexing military muscle to ensure safe passage for global shipping and to protect its interests in the area. The increased naval presence aims to reassure allies and partners. On Wednesday, the US hit Chinese banks with new sanctions, escalating financial tensions between the two economic giants. For allegedly helping North Korea dodge previous penalties, tightening the screws on Pyongyang's access to international financial networks. A financial warning shot at both China and North Korea, highlighting US resolve to enforce sanctions and prevent nuclear proliferation. By Friday, the US Secretary of State declared, in a carefully worded statement, all options are on the table, leaving no room for ambiguity regarding potential actions. To stop Iran's nuclear ambitions, reiterating the US commitment to preventing Iran from developing nuclear weapons. A classic, serious-sounding threat designed to exert maximum diplomatic pressure. Meanwhile, the US president called leaders in Japan and South Korea engaging in high-level discussions, reinforcing alliances and showing a united front in Asia, emphasizing the importance of regional stability and cooperation. In short, military posturing in the Middle East, sending a strong signal to regional actors, financial pressure on China, demonstrating a willingness to use economic tools, tough talk for Iran, underscoring the seriousness of the situation, and rallying allies in Asia, a clear message of solidarity. America wanted the world to know who's calling the shots, asserting its global leadership. It was a week of strategic moves, carefully calculated and executed. Each one designed to send a message loud and clear across the globe. The US is making it clear, it's ready to act decisively and without hesitation, and it wants everyone to pay attention. The stakes are high, the world is watching with bated breath, and so are we, keeping a close eye on every development. Let's see how the other players responded. What were their reactions? Next up, Iran. Iran didn't sit quietly, not for a moment. The nation responded swiftly and decisively to what it perceived as a direct challenge. The day after the U.S. naval move, tensions were already ratcheting up. Iran's Revolutionary Guard immediately commenced a series of military drills in the Strait of Hormuz, a vital strategic waterway. They were showing off their fast boats, demonstrating their naval capabilities, and showcasing their swarm drones, highlighting their advancements in unmanned aerial technology. Their message was clear and unambiguous. This is our turf, and we can disrupt things if we want. They were sending a strong signal of their willingness to defend their interests. Iran's foreign minister, in a press conference, called U.S. sanctions economic terrorism, arguing they hurt ordinary people, exacerbating the already difficult living conditions. Iran then announced it would speed up uranium enrichment, a move that raised international concerns, edging closer to nuclear capability, a development closely monitored by global powers. On Thursday, Iran hosted high-level talks with China and Russia, solidifying diplomatic ties, showing it has powerful friends and strategic allies on the world stage. The optics, Iran isn't isolated. It's actively building alliances and fostering international partnerships. By Saturday, Iran's supreme leader gave a speech about resilience, emphasizing the importance of national unity, and refusing to bow to foreign pressure, vowing to protect Iran's sovereignty. Iran's moves this week, military flexing, a display of strength and readiness, nuclear escalation, a concerning step with far-reaching implications, and diplomatic posturing, a complex game of strategy and influence. The message to the U.S., we hear you and we're not backing down, a clear declaration of defiance. Tensions are rising in the region, escalating the risk of conflict, and the world is watching with bated breath, hoping for de-escalation. Now let's shift our focus and look at China's next move in this intricate geopolitical dance. Stay tuned for more analysis. China's approach? Quiet, strategic, and patient. When the U.S. sanctioned Chinese banks, China's official response was calm but firm, calling it a violation of international norms. Behind the scenes, China announced a massive trade deal with Central Asian countries, strengthening its economic influence near Iran. This is part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, building connections and allies through business, not bombs. At the UN, China pushed for dialogue, not more sanctions, positioning itself as the voice of reason. State media called the U.S. a global bully and discussed building alternatives to the U.S. dollar. China's message: we're not just complaining, we're building a world where U.S. pressure matters less. It's a long game, but every move shifts the balance of power. While the U.S. flexes, China quietly builds. The chessboard is changing. Now let's not forget North Korea. North Korea made sure it wasn't ignored. On Tuesday, it launched a new short-range missile just enough to get attention, but not enough to provoke all-out war. The timing was deliberate, a reminder to the US, Japan, and South Korea that North Korea is still a threat. Their state media condemned US-South Korea military drills and the new US sanctions on Chinese banks. North Korea's playbook: test a weapon, blame others, and claim it's all for self-defense. Notably, they didn't test a nuclear bomb or long-range missile, keeping tensions high but below the boiling point. It's a calculated move: create leverage, sow division, but avoid triggering a major conflict. North Korea remains unpredictable, a wild card in the global game. Their message: don't forget about us, the world can't afford to. Now why is everyone whispering about World War III? Let's talk about the fear. With all these moves, warships, drills, sanctions, and missiles, it's no wonder World War III inches is trending. We're not there, but people see a pattern: powerful countries, tangled alliances, and rising tensions. Conflicts are interconnected. A push in one region triggers reactions elsewhere. The US pressures Iran, Iran turns to China and Russia, China helps North Korea, and the web tightens. These aren't small players. The US, China, and Russia are nuclear powers. That's what makes the stakes so high. One mistake could have global consequences. Even a limited conflict could spiral out of control. The fear isn't about war tomorrow. It's about the direction things are heading. The world feels more divided, and the risks are bigger than ever. One miscalculation could set off a chain reaction. That's why people are worried. The big question: will the US attack Iran? It's possible, but risky. An attack would likely start with airstrikes on Iran's nuclear and military sites. Iran can't match US firepower, but it would fight back with unconventional tactics, like disrupting oil shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. That would send global energy prices soaring and hurt economies worldwide. Iran could also activate proxy groups across the Middle East, targeting US troops and allies. The conflict could quickly spread, dragging in other countries and turning regional tension into a wider war. That's why US leaders hesitate. An attack could unleash chaos that's hard to contain. Both sides are playing a dangerous game of chicken, hoping the other blinks first. The risk someone miscalculates and things spiral out of control. The stakes couldn't be higher. So what happens next? What's next? There are a few possible paths. Best case de-escalation. Maybe a third party, like Europe or China, steps in to mediate, leading to secret talks and small compromises. More likely, a tense gray zone conflict. Constant pressure, more sanctions, military drills, and cyber attacks, but no open war. The danger: a single incident, like a ship collision or a deadly proxy attack, could trigger a rapid escalation that could pull in the US, Iran, their allies, and even China or Russia. For China, expect more economic expansion and alliance building, not direct confrontation. North Korea will keep provoking, then offering to negotiate, staying unpredictable. The next few months are critical. Every move matters. The world is holding its breath. Will leaders step back from the brink or stumble into disaster? Only time will tell. Let's hope for the best. With all the tension, it's easy to feel hopeless. But remember, most people in every country just want peace and a normal life. History shows even bitter enemies can become partners. Look at the US and Vietnam, or Europe after 2 world wars. Peace takes courage and leaders willing to talk, not just threaten. True strength is about prosperity and well-being, not just military might. Avoiding war means choosing diplomacy, even when it's tough. As young people, you're not powerless. Stay informed, learn from many perspectives, and try to understand all sides. Understanding is the enemy of fear. Knowledge makes you a better global citizen. Our biggest challenges: climate change, pandemics. Poverty don't care about borders. We can only solve them together. The leaders of tomorrow, your generation, can write a new story. That's a future worth hoping for.